Phoenix led the Bulls by 2 points, final seconds. Paxson for 3. The Bulls' 3 consecutive NBA titles if he makes it. A miss, they play Game 7. One shot to puncture the Suns' dreams that became real with the signing of a superstar. And Sir Charles delivered with fire and swagger, leading Phoenix to the NBA's best record. MVP confirmation. With a Suns cast of all-stars, a champions mix, all just one shot away. Paxson's winning 3 still burns indelibly in the Phoenix memory. Their championship hopes eclipsed. Today, the Suns welcome back Paxson and the champions from Chicago.
This is the NBA on NBC. Today, it's the Chicago Bulls versus the Phoenix Suns.
The capital of Arizona, downtown Phoenix, the America West Arena, 19,000, the usual sellout to see the rematch of last year's NBA Finals. In fact, the last time Chicago played here was when Paxson drilled that three-pointer. And we're standing, Dick Enberg with Snapper Jones in Paxson Place, and we talked with him before the game, and he said, you know, it really was, as an old man, a dream come true. You're counting down 9, 8, 7 like a little kid in the backyard to make the jumper to win a championship.
Yeah, this turned out to be real spendy territory for the Phoenix Suns. They still remember Paxson Place.
It does indeed hurt. Now the Chicago Bulls come here to Phoenix without Michael Jordan, and yet they come here sporting one of the best records in the league. In fact, right with the elite in the Eastern Conference. And that would have to stand as one of the remarkable stories at midseason in the NBA. Why?
Well, I think so. There are a couple of things. The first reason, let's toss a bone to Phil Jackson. He's done a terrific job of keeping that team together. And then you mark the return of Scottie Pippen. Since Scottie Pippen returned to the Chicago Bulls, they are 27-5. A lot of people have said Pippen has been living in the shadows of Michael Jordan. Well, he's out of the shadows and into the spotlight with career numbers, and he plans to stay on stage for a long time.
Well, Phoenix, meanwhile, suffered through a 7-8 January, but playing without Charles Barkley and Kevin Johnson, 2 All-Stars, and Danny Ainge, and yet they rest only 4.5 games behind the Pacific Division leader, the Seattle Supersonics, and they feel that when everyone's healthy, that they're going to make a solid run into the playoffs.
Yes, and 1/2 of their scoring combination comes back today in Kevin Johnson. He gives them penetration, which makes Dan Marley's game better, and also he gives them an emotional spirit, and they are going to be a tough team at the defensive end. Kevin Johnson, you see the numbers that he brings. Paul Westphal, glad to have him back.
And Kevin Johnson not only over his injuries, but the chicken pox and itching to go. And so is Hannah Storm with this report.
Well, Dick, I talked with the injured Sun stars Charles Barkley and Danny Ainge earlier today, and Charles told me he's still suffering from that torn right quadricep above his knee, but he said he's about 70% back, and he actually could play today if this was a crucial game. He does hope to play in next weekend's All-Star game in Minneapolis as the leading vote getter there, and he said that he'll make a final decision on that Thursday. Also spoke with Danny Ainge, who's still suffering from the left ankle sprain. He will not play today, but he told me he'll be back immediately after the All-Star break. And finally, what of Cedric Ceballos, who has played so well, returning from that oft-injured left foot? Well, Ceballos wants everyone to know that he is back, and he has penned this message on his shoe today: 40% bone, 60% steel, 100% healed. Dick?
All right, Hannah. And the healing process continues in Phoenix, and when the big stars are back, the banner that they want to hang here at America West is the NBA championship. That's the goal. To the All-Star game in Minneapolis next weekend. Bill Cartwright, the veteran in the hole, and 2 more All-Stars, Grant and Pippen on the front line. Phil Jackson certainly underlining his talent as a man on the bench with the performance of Chicago this year, sans Michael Jordan. For Phoenix, Kevin Johnson and Dan Marley in the backcourt. KJ's return, a welcome note here in Phoenix. Oliver Miller, the big guy in the middle. Ceballos has had a terrific season. And AC Green, acquired from the Lakers in the offseason. Paul Westphal, the 43-year-old head coach of the Suns, and he has worked his Phoenix team the last 2 days in practice as hard as they've worked all season long.
He wanted to get their attention. After being blown out by Portland in Portland, he felt that they were beginning to feel sorry for themselves. They were not aggressive at the defensive end, and he wanted to change that. And they've had 2 tough days, and they feel after practices like that, they're ready for a tough game. They'll have this crowd into it. Chicago's playing extremely well, Dick, led by Pippen. We should have a good ball game this afternoon.
Yeah, Phil Jackson, going on this 6-game Western trip, was hoping for a 4-2 and satisfied with 3-3. Well, he's already got 3 wins in 3 tough spots, and now goes for a sweep of this short series regular season with the Suns. Chicago won earlier at Chicago Stadium, and it was the biggest score that Phoenix has surrendered all season long. Well, an awkward start.
That's the toughest part of the official's job. It has been, even they say, as the officials get taller, they still don't know how to toss the ball.
Forgotten art. Kevin Johnson. We'll see what his presence means to this Phoenix team. Barkley expected to return right after the All-Star break. Oliver Miller, way short. Horace Grant leads Chicago in rebounds on the season. Ahead, Myers with a quick move and draws the foul.
One of the surprising things about the Chicago Bulls this year is that they're more concerned about tempo than they've ever been at any other time since Phil Jackson has coached the team, but they still will try to get transition baskets, and anytime they can push it, they'll try to strike quickly. That's how Pete Myers got the foul.
Myers drawing the foul from Oliver Miller. Myers, you know, things do happen, good and bad in threes, they say, and for the Bulls, good. 3 straight NBA titles, and you have 3 men on this roster, all who played in Italy last year. Myers and Wennington, and of course Kukoc. Travel is the call.
Scottie Pippen has long been one of the best defenders in the NBA, and he got back and forced the travel on Cedric Ceballos. I'm still trying to find out what is the real story behind that hairdo of Scottie Pippen.
It's growing out quickly. He says not fast enough for him. He wants to have it back in full form by the time he returns from this trip. It's off Marley, out of bounds to Chicago. The block to Oliver Miller, who leads the Suns in rejections.
Oliver Miller, long wingspan and quick to the ball, and you can see that one rolled right up to the palm of the heel of his hand. Good block by Miller.
Armstrong looking in for Grant. Horace Grant just beats the buzzer, but pulled off by Miller. 2-0 early, Chicago. Deflected by Armstrong, out of bounds.
Phoenix Suns like to run a lot of 2-man games with Kevin Johnson taking the ball to the right side of the floor and then coming back down the middle, or having Oliver Miller roll back into the paint.
AC Green. Rebound, Scottie Pippen on the run. Armstrong, 4-0 Chicago. Bulls have. They've won 17 in a row at home, won all 3 games of this road trip thus far.
They're playing with a lot of confidence, and this is a team that exemplifies the word team. A rare jump shot from Ceballos.
Ceballos, who gets most of his points inside, registers from 20.
If you're going to control Ceballos, that's what you want to see him doing. You want to see him shooting the ball over the top of the defense, not down in the slot, not on the offensive glass.
Pippen's first shot over the top to Phoenix. You think there's more to it, to shaving the head, or the almost the bald look from Pippen than he's telling us?
Oh, Pippen for years has disdained the nuclear look. He's kept all of his hair, and then suddenly after the Super Bowl, he comes out with this look and he tells us, well, he wanted it for intimidation on this trip. Ceballos.
From Dan Marley to tie it at 4. unlike Sampson, it certainly hasn't taken anything away from his strength, has it? They work to the open man, Chicago, and Myers well off. Sabalas to KJ. Grant on AC Green. Marley and Myers. Marley free for the left-handed slam. Phoenix with its first lead. Turnover. Sabalas got a piece of it. KJ hurries it into the offensive end. All away. Miller. AC likes the side. That's where he spots up, and it's 8-4 Phoenix on an 8-point run for the home team.
One thing you have to do with Phoenix, you have to get back in transition defense, and then you have to stop penetration. And on the last couple of possessions, that's broken down the Chicago defense. Nice pass.
Myers to Grant, 8-6. First points for Horace. Marley inside the line. Well, they call that a 3, 11-6. Jackson thought that was a 2-pointer. Myers. Pippen almost stepped out of bounds as he tried to step away from the three-point line. Grant not there. Miller is. Baseball pass, Sabalas. Marley wants 3. Yes, sir. Marley, 2 in a row from outside, has 8.
If you're going to control Dan Marley as a shooter, you got to make him move. He's a great spot-up shooter, and we're seeing him get the hot hand early, and that spells trouble for the Bulls.
Myers sets up for 3. Great work by Pippen to control the ball and get a shot away. Here comes AC Green. Miller. Great setup by Green, and the Phoenix Suns are roaring early.
Phil Jackson is going to let his team play through. They haven't taken a timeout, looking for Pippen to make something happen.
And the foul as the Suns enjoying a 16-2 run and a timeout. Dan Marley with a couple of trays.
Well, remember that's Paxson Place. Well, he just opened up Marley's joint, and he's got back-to-back hoops. But Oliver Miller is a guy that runs the floor extremely well and right at the rim. An easy 2 for Oliver Miller, and the Suns on a roll.
Dan Marley leads the NBA in 3 points attempted and made. Let's go to Game 3 of last year's NBA Finals. Marley tied an NBA Finals record, 3-point field goals in a game, 6 out of 8 from downtown. The last coming in the third overtime. Phoenix pulling out a dramatic 129-121 triple overtime victory. Boy, that last one just snapping the nets inside out. Look at Marley this year. He's made 103 now, counting the 2 today, and he leads several teams in 3-point shots made in the NBA.
And that is surprising that you would find Indiana with Reggie Miller, who is a big 3-point bomber himself, not getting a lot of 3-point shots up this year. But Marley is a great streak shooter, and when he's on a roll, as he is right now, he goes for big numbers in a quarter. We'll see what his final tally is at the end of the first quarter.
Scottie Pippen was fouled by Miller. Miller with 2 now. Paul Westphal brings in Elliot Perry. He's on his second 10-day contract in the backcourt. Mark West replaces Miller. There's Perry, played at Memphis State. Pippen having trouble from the free throw line this year. 16-7, Phoenix with the ball.
One thing that the Bulls have been able to maintain is their ball pressure. They have people that can go down 94 feet and harass and make it difficult for teams to get into their offense. Suns working against the clock at 7.
AC Green takes it. Green with 4. Pippen, who leads in assists for Chicago again this year. That would be 4 in a row. Grant can't connect. Marley with the rebound. Phoenix, as you can see, red hot out of the gate. 8 out of 10. Marley said the 2 practices yesterday and the day before, toughest since he was a freshman at Central Michigan.
Westfall really cracked the whip, and even though his look doesn't give you the impression that this is a guy that will bear down and yell and scream, he took charge in both of those sessions, and he got their attention, and you can tell this is a much more aggressive, more confident team.
Myers with the foul on Marley, and now 19 on the clock.
The thing that Chicago has to do is now force the Phoenix Suns to become a perimeter team and get people like Mark West, who makes that shot, to shoot a little bit further out of the paint, make AC Green put the ball on the floor, Elliott Perry shoot the ball.
That was a razor-sharp pass from Marley to set up West. 20-7 for the Suns with 5:42 remaining. First quarter. Armstrong working the baseline. Inside the line. Grant with an offensive rebound, one of his specialties. And he gets the reward.
Nice pass from Pete Myers. That's the second one he's given Horace Grant. So they got a little thing going. Whenever Myers gets the ball, Horace Grant is on his way to the hoop.
Myers on Marley. Perry to West. Marley fouled by Myers. It'll be the second on Pete Myers.
What makes this play happen for Pete Myers? First, notice where the ball is here. And Myers will get the ball over here, and you let it run, and you will see Horace Grant from this side flash in, and there is the easy 2. And they have to have pressure on Pete Myers, otherwise he's going to make plays like that the rest of the afternoon.
Myers out, and Tony Kukoc makes his first appearance. Power move by Cedric Ceballos. He has 6.
That's Ceballos' office. 5 feet around the basket on either side. He likes to drive the ball to the hoop or rebound the ball. Pippen
for 3. Rebound West. Perry on the run. Elliott Perry.
That's the guy, as Pippen gets that rebound, that Chicago wants to see shooting the ball.
B.J. Armstrong is the open man. Chicago, as cold as the weather's been this winter in the Midwest.
Chicago wants to try to find someone with the hot hand and just stay close here early, not get too far down. The Suns are one of the best front-running teams in the NBA, and they can really steamroll you here in this building.
Pippen. Oh, pretty shot by Scottie Pippen, as Marley had good position on him, and he just used that high archer off the glass. 3 for Scottie. 22-11, the Phoenix lead. And on the clock to Ceballos.
See if Ceballos continues to go to the hole against Kukoc.
8 points for Ceballos, who's been on a tear of late, and averaging around 30 a game the last handful. Bill Cartwright's first shot. The veteran unable to connect. West with a rebound. Marley 2-on-2. Rebound Green. No basket. Foul before the shot.
Phil Jackson has to be concerned with Tony Kukoc on the floor against Cedric Ceballos. This is the reason why. Ceballos has a great first step, gets him with the left hand, comes back in the same direction, and then switches hand. Back-to-back drives and scoring opportunities for Ceballos. He has got big numbers on his mind this afternoon.
Kukoc with his first foul. 24, Marley to Green. And a whistle away from the ball. Hold. Kukoc. And he has 2 quick fouls. Timeout. 2:52 remaining in the opening quarter. Phoenix trying to make a statement today. Last year's most valuable player has missed the last 14 games. You see Phoenix 6-8 without Sir Charles, but in his place, Cedric Ceballos has enjoyed the scoring role.
It's nice. It's nice being Charles Barkley for like 2 weeks. You know, I know he goes through a lot of stuff, and it's kind of hard being Charles Barkley for 8-10 years like he's been, but it was nice. I enjoyed it. When Charles comes back, it's going to be, you know, hopefully the experience will continue.
Ceballos averaging 21 on the season, and he's got 8 quick points in this quarter, 4 for 4 from the floor.
Ceballos is one of those players that has the knack for getting the ball in the basket, and particularly in the high percentage area. Coaches tell you, box Ceballos off. He's one of those slithery, slimy type of guys that still manages to roll off a body. He's got good flight with the ball, and he's right there when the ball comes off and puts it back in.
I think it's somewhat stunning. Here's a high score, but they don't have any plays for him.
And they don't run any plays for him. Paul Westphal told us last year when he had 38 and they wanted to get him 40, they called 3 plays in a row. Ceballos couldn't score. He told them, don't run any plays, I'll get the hoop. And he got the 40 points.
John Paxson and Steve Kerr now in for Chicago, so outside firepower. Paxson
a hold against John Paxson against the bigger Dan Marley.
Also into the game, Will Perdue for the first time. Paxson, who told us before the game this is it for him, his final season in the NBA.
The Chicago Bulls get slower in the backcourt right now with Kerr and Paxson in there. Probably they're better in terms of offensive consistency with Kerr and Paxson. Paxson has not been playing much, so he may not be very sharp. You can see that his numbers are down dramatically as well as his production, but he's still a dangerous open court shooter. Steve Kerr has had a resurrection as the Chicago Bulls.
In fact, this is Paxson's 10th game of the year. 25-11 for the Suns, and the Bulls a very quiet quarter. 2.5 to go. Kerr.
Phoenix is the type of team that will give back some of the lead. So you got to move the ball, have some patience. Whittington.
Bill Whittington hits his first attempt. Whittington, the 7-footer from St. John's.
Whittington has finally learned how to play, you know, and it kind of makes the GMs and director of player personnel happy, because they always say it takes 7-footers longer to know how to play in the NBA. Whittington is a jump shooter, and with the Chicago Bulls, he's blended in very nicely.
Marley not happy with that call of traveling. Well, it's Jerry Krause has done a good job of scouting the European market, to getting 3 players on this team from Italy playing in Europe last year.
Well, his biggest problem, of course, is Kukoc, but Kukoc had to go to the bench, 2 personal fouls, too much quickness from Ceballos.
Durant, 2-1. Paxson beats the buzzer. John Paxson, he can still shoot it.
Nothing's changed.
10-point lead Phoenix. 1:36 to go. Quarter. Kevin Johnson back in. Throws up the left-hander as he draws the foul from Whittington.
He's still a buzzer beater. This one is against the clock, just inside of the 3-point line. But you can't give Paxson, who is also a very, very good spot-up shooter, that much time and distance without defensive pressure.
Kevin Johnson returning to the lineup, has his first point today. You can still see some of the effects of the chickenpox. He really had a terrible case. He was in the hospital 3 days.
Some people grow up late. You should have had those a long time ago, huh?
He said in Sacramento his family was too poor. They couldn't afford chickenpox.
Trying to get a mismatch with Pippen and Kevin Johnson.
Kerr. And a foul underneath, and a terrific piece of defense by Mark West.
Mark West has always been a strong shot blocker. Gets the first one, but unfortunately for the Suns and West, it comes back, and Pippen with a little sleight of hand draws a foul.
Scottie Pippen hits that one. He's 2 for 3, but he's shooting under 61% from the line this year. Leading the Bulls in scoring at 21.6, leading in assists. Here comes Kukoc in for Grant.
Numbers for Pippen have gone down dramatically, and most of it is confidence and concentration. He has it on the way up, but today could be one of those 50% days.
Kevin Johnson beating everyone down court. Can't hit. AC Green has it knocked away in a foul. Paxson second.
Quick hard push by Kevin Johnson, and that breaks down the Suns, and now they're trying to react to the rebound. Once AC Green gets it, they're all trying to keep him away from the line with the block. Too late.
Paxson's second foul. AC Green with 6 rebounds in the quarter, looking for his 5th point. Couple of championship rings with the Lakers in '87 and '88. Back to a 12-point lead. 1 minute to go in the quarter.
Phil Jackson will probably feel very good if he can get out of this quarter down 8 or 10 points.
Marley knocks it out to West. Sabalas dishes to Marley for an easy 2. No, it rolls off. West picks up the loose ball and draws the foul from Wennington. His second. So the Bulls with a handful of players with 2 fouls early. Paxson has 2, Kukoc 2, Myers 2, and Wennington now with 2.
That look of Marley going to the hoop tells you that the Chicago Bulls right now are playing matador defense. They're reaching and they're trying to play defense from the rear. Mark West gets the foul against Whittington. First trip to the line.
West with his troubles continuing at the line, shooting only 43%. But from the floor, he's right there with the best in NBA history, Artis Gilmore. Look who's coming, Charles Barkley. All the rest are big men, centers. Barkley at a forward spot may go down as the best scorer ever from that position. Frank Johnson returns or makes his first appearance. AC Green out. Pippen stolen by Marley. Here come the Suns with a 13-point lead. AJ eats some clock.
Well, they're going to hold the ball. This is a bad position for Steve Kerr, so they send Whittington to make the Phoenix Suns get out of that one set. Back to Kevin Johnson.
Does it count? Yes. Oh, he is lightning.
Now, there's nothing worse than standing on stage with no clothes on and everybody can see you, and that's how Steve Kerr felt. Naked. Kevin Johnson just blew right by him. That's not a good matchup for Steve Kerr that far away from the hoop. He's got to have some help. He's got to try to get to him and turn him in the direction where somebody can force Kevin Johnson to pick the ball up.
Third time he's made the All-Star team, converts the 3-point play and has 5 in the quarter. 32-16 Phoenix. Kukoc. Paxson for 3. Off the bench, John Paxson hits a couple from that spot. And the end of the quarter. Dan Marley, Cedric Sabalas. Between them, almost matching the Bulls' total in the quarter. And after 1 here at America West in Phoenix, Arizona, it's the Suns by 13. First quarter, Suns with several problems. One is the quick pickup of fouls by 4 players. The other is failure to shoot effectively. 33% from the floor, while Phoenix a hot 63%.
Anytime you get that many players in foul trouble early, one, it puts you into the penalty, and it allows the other team to get some cheap points, and they don't need any help. The Phoenix Suns right now shooting the ball extremely well.
Joe Klein making his first appearance, and Tony Kukoc with a runner has his first goal. Suns by 11.
Again, Johnson goes right by Steve Kerr.
Chicago with 2 more than that last graphic. It's 34-21. Wennington.
One of the keys to Chicago has been their ability to execute their offense and then make good decisions with the ball. That's a shot that Whittington's been making. He thought he saw Horace Grant right at the basket. The Bulls knock it out. Shot clock at 7.
Kukoc, the trigger man. Kerr gets the shot and the foul. Steve Kerr's first points. Frank Johnson gets the foul.
That is what Steve Kerr does best, shoot the basketball. So you've got to have some pressure on him all the time, and Frank Johnson let him slide in front and catch the ball. Kerr's one of those catch and shoot guys, has a chance for a 3-point play.
Grew up in Southern California, but played his college ball down south in Tucson with the Arizona Cats, and a great team with the Wilsons that went to the Final Four in '88 with Sean Elliott and Tom Tolbert. The Bulls quietly pull within 10.
That's the kind of pressure they have to have on Kevin Johnson. Give Steve Kerr some help. They get a turnover.
Now the backcourt violation, and the defense paying another dividend for Chicago.
Yeah, I'd walk up and tap Bill Whittington on the hand and say thank you very much after the guys danced by me a couple of times. But that's the only way that Steve Kerr is going to be able to contain Kevin Johnson. Too quick, too explosive off the dribble.
Horace Grant over AC Green. And the Bulls warming up. Grant now is 6 to lead Chicago.
Again, a screen by Klein. Johnson just blew into the lane, couldn't finish.
Wennington with a rebound, clears to Paxson. Doing this with B.J. Armstrong and Pippen on the bench. Grant again. Short, thought he was fouled. So did Jackson as he barks at the official. Foul to Grant.
Bad decision by Grant. You don't get a call at one end of the floor, but you don't come back and foul someone just to stop the game so that you can say something to the official. Right here, he felt he got fouled. Looked like he just aired it out, and now he'll come back, and this is a linebacker collision. So I want to get a little piece of that guy.
Yeah, in the 5-yard zone.
Let's see if they come back to Sabalas against Tony Kukoc. That's been a matchup that has been all Sabalas' time.
Running start before the dribble. And a timeout called with 9:57 left in this opening half. Phil Jackson working the officials. His team trails by 8.
Left ankle, and we'll be back after the break. And Danny, a guy who has a unique perspective on Michael Jordan's ambitions of playing Major League Baseball, because you played 4 years for the Toronto Blue Jays way back when you were in school. What do you think of his attempts to play baseball?
I think Michael's getting bored, and I'm not sure he knows what he's getting himself into. I was talking to Roger Clemens last Sunday in Boston, and Roger said he wonders how Michael's going to react to that first one right up here into the chin.
How realistic is this?
I think it's a long shot, to be honest. I'm certainly rooting for him. Like everyone else, I think it's exciting and it's kind of fun to follow it with interest, but I don't think he's got much of a chance.
What do you think of his form, Danny?
I think he's got a lot of improvement.
Okay, thanks, Danny. Let's get back to the game.
Yeah, it's just not the curveball. It's that first time they bust that high inside fastball that kind of makes those knees turn to jelly. Grant unable to connect. Sabalas rebounds to KJ. Around Paxson and then slams into Kerr. That'll be the foul on Johnson. I don't think he saw Kerr, who had stationed himself in the lane.
Once Kevin Johnson got by, I think he felt he had clear sailing, but Kerr stepped into the lane and was directly in front of him. KJ at that point out of control, picks up the personal foul. The crowd here reacts.
First foul on Johnson. Horace Grant from outside slams one in, and The Bulls pulled a 34-28.
Horace Grant is a guy that said, you know, I need some of Michael Jordan's shots. And now he's producing, so he's backing up the boat that he could score if given an opportunity.
They've carved a 10 off the 16-point lead that Phoenix enjoyed in the first quarter. Kevin Johnson gets his own rebound.
Steve Kerr took one right in the chops, and Kevin Johnson had a free shot, couldn't cash.
The Sabalas. Rebound to Kukoc. Kerr wants the three. Rebound to Miller. Marley over Paxson.
That's when you're going to get Dan Marley to miss a shot. If he tries to put the ball on the floor and jump over people, he's not going to shoot the ball in a high percentage.
Kerr on KJ, and KJ having trouble extricating himself from the red timber. The Bulls in red, and Wennington has his third.
Wennington had done a good job of helping, but like most big men, they don't know when to say when. Right here, he's got him under control and needed to get away from him. Kept riding him. Kevin Johnson good at drawing the officials' attention. They're bringing in another active center in Scott Williams, who they thought was going to be their starting center before he had the strained tendon problem. He hasn't seen much action since coming back.
Patellar tendon. He's been back only 3 games. Suns have been scoreless for 3.5 minutes. Kevin Johnson ends that. It's 36-28. 8 minutes to go in the half.
Kevin has scored all 4 points in this period.
Grant off his own foot. Pass was a little behind him and couldn't control.
He knows he should have had that one. He wanted to get to the hoop too soon. Didn't whip the ball into his hands. He had an easy scoring chance in front of him.
Horace on his way to the All-Star game with $50,000 in his back pocket. Miller lost control in between a layup and a slam, and didn't get either. Scott Williams makes his presence known in a hurry, and it's a 6-point game. First bucket for the former North Carolina star. Wide open is Sabalas, and those are his point-making opportunities, always around the iron. 10 for him. He leads all scorers.
Got a mismatch with Horace Grant, so they're trying to make the Suns react.
Pippen for 3. Scottie Pippen now with 7. And timeout called by Paul Westphal with 6:42 left in the half. Phoenix once enjoying a 16-point bulge. It's down to 5.
There's a story developing in the NBA, apparently a press conference about to take place in a few minutes in Houston. The big deal which had sent Robert Horry along with Matt Bullard, but Horry was the key guy, from Houston to Detroit in exchange for Sean Elliott, the important guy from the Rockets' perspective, is apparently off because Elliott has failed his Houston physical. We don't know exactly why. He hadn't been on the injured list for the Pistons. He had been playing for Detroit. We're trying to get more details, but the deal is off so far as we know because Elliott failed his physical with the Rockets. At halftime of the game between the Suns and the Bulls, we hope to have more details for you. Right now, back out to the America West Arena as we rejoin Dick Enberg and Snapper Jones. Dick?
All right, Bob, so some intrigue there, and the trading deadline February 24th, a couple of weeks for all the teams to work out deals. But Horry for Sean Elliott, apparently no go.
Well, they're 2 mad people. Horry wanted more playing time and certainly was going to get a lot of it at the Detroit Pistons, and Sean Elliott was going out of the basement into the penthouse, and he was going to get a chance to play with a great center again. And when he played with David Robinson, he was a very, very good complementary player, so he was looking forward to that. Maybe he's going to have another physical until that one. That was just the first. We got to do this all over.
Look at how the field goal percentages have just reversed here in the second quarter. It's Chicago with a hot hand and Phoenix looking for something.
Well, this group with Kerr and Paxson has done a better job in the backcourt of controlling things for Phil Jackson at both ends of the floor, and they've been able to get some scoring from Horace Grant inside.
Great ball movement, and Kerr. Oh, look at Pippen come in, and he kept it alive for Grant. But it was Pippen who kept the ball up there. It's 38-35, Phoenix. Midpoint of the second quarter.
Now, Elliot Perry will not blow by Steve Kerr in the same way that Kevin Johnson did, but they've been getting a little bit better execution from Elliot Perry because it's a different kind of a game. Pressure on Marley.
Marley a fall away. Grant to Kerr. A three-pointer to tie for Chicago. They've got Paxson and Kerr always looking at that line. So does Pippen. And a foul on Grant over the shoulder. His second.
They like to get Kerr and Paxson behind the line. This is a spot-up opportunity, and there's Scottie Pippen chasing it hard, and it pops right back into the hands of Horace Grant for an easy two.
Kerr leading the league in three-point percentage, coming in with 45% made outside the line.
Perry, a darting move. Marley looks at the line, nails the three. That's his third of the game.
Notice the difference. So the last time he tried to shoot that ball under pressure off the dribble, didn't come close. This time, feet set, nails it. That's his third one of this ball game.
He's going to give us a three-point shooting tip later in our telecast, a new feature on our NBA coverage for young and old. Learn a little more about the game from the pros.
Kerr's three. That hit just about every inanimate object up there. Let's go back to Marley's tray.
And notice how much time he has, and the defense of Scott Williams is there too late. When he has that much time and he has found the range, he's going to nail those shots. So you got to make Dan Marley move when he is shooting three-point shots. If you do, you got a real strong chance of seeing him miss.
12-point game for Marley to lead all scorers.
Another three-pointer. Rebound to Pippen. Got to watch him go coast to coast. Kerr, he hits the three.
Kerr leading the league in three-point percentage. He had rushed his last two, and this time he settled down, knocked that one in.
Marley with Paxson back out to Perry. Sabalas, behind the back to Perry. Elliot Perry. His first points.
And notice now, Sabalas has only taken one jump shot. He has passed up several opportunities to shoot them. He's ended up getting other people scoring chances, but he doesn't like to shoot outside.
Grant with AC Green. Scott Williams hits the 12-footer. He's 2 for 2 off the bench, and the Bulls are within 3 at the 3:38 mark.
See, the Bulls get a little bit from everybody now, and that is what has made them such a good team since the return of Scottie Pippen. Pippen makes plays for other people as well as Tony Kukoc, but they get everybody contributing.
The southpaw Perry gets 2 in a row. Kevin Johnson and Perry's teammates approve. And a timeout, Chicago. Elliot Perry goes off. He's happy with his contribution.
Elliot Perry is a guy that is in from the CBA and is happy to get these scoring opportunities. A slick pass from Cedric Sabalas. That got him on the scoreboard, and now he's into the game.
Season players from around the NBA will share their basketball insight in a segment called the NBA Tip of the Week. Here's Dan Marley of the Suns, his tip on three-point shooting.
Hi, I'm Dan Marley of Phoenix Suns. Remember these threes last year?
Shot clock at 5. Marley for 3. Whoa! Dan Marley
next three-pointer, and that ties an NBA Finals record.
First thing when you're shooting a three-point shot is make sure your feet are behind the line. You don't want to be standing on the line. That'd be a two-point shot, and that's probably the worst shot in basketball. So make sure your feet behind the line, get your knees under your shot, make sure you use your legs, and just get into rhythm and let the ball go. Take about 1,000 of those a day, and you'll have crazy range, like me.
That's how they taught him up there in Traverse City, Michigan. Use your legs in your shots. Use your legs. And he has all the attempts by Phoenix, 3 for 5 for Marley in this first half. 3:05 to left before the intermission. 45-40 Phoenix. Kerr from outside the line. Horace Grant.
Big rebound.
Is anyone better on the offensive boards?
And he's got the size and the strength to take a hit as he did below and still carry the ball back up. He is going to be a free agent. A lot of people salivating at the thought of having Horace Grant on their team.
Yeah, he told us he's going to test the market after this year. Grant with 12.7 rebounds to lead the Bulls in both categories. Kevin Johnson way off. Mark West there to convert.
That's how Mark West has kept that field goal percentage so high. And usually that's his favorite move with the left hand to come in with authority.
Kerr inside the line. Kerr with 5. Back to a 3-point game. We approach the 2-minute mark.
Two minutes.
Sabalas outside. Not there, but Green rebounds, but throws it right to B.J. Armstrong, and Pippen alone at the other end. 47-46, Pippen with 9.
Bulls have clawed their way back into the game. They got control of Kevin Johnson's penetration. They've made him a permanent player now, so Steve Kerr is not getting hurt, and the defense is not breaking down. And they've been getting some big scoring from Kerr, Horace Grant in the quarter.
KJ with 11 with that jumper. 49-46. B.J. Armstrong, no factor at all in this first half. Pippen with a drive. How are they going to call it? Against Phoenix. Mark West with a step in, his second. This is a power move.
Well, Pippen takes a look in the open court, and he is one of the prettiest gliders in the NBA, and you can see he likes to penetrate and likes to bring the ball to the hoop. Mark West could not get there in time and get set. The foul goes against him.
Number 7, Tony
Coach returns for Chicago. Armstrong out.
I'm going to say on the way by, Coach, I can't get any rhythm. Keep going back and forth like this. I got to stay out here a while.
Pippen trying to cut the Phoenix lead to 1. 49-48 with 1:08 left in the half. Sabalas around Pippen. Pippen chases from behind and gets a steal. Chicago has not led since the first couple baskets of the game, and Pippen for 3. Marley rebounds. Final minute of the half. Oh, good stutter move by KJ, and he draws the foul. Pippen, his first. First in the last 2 minutes, so no attempt for Phoenix. Oliver Miller comes back in for the Suns. B.J. Armstrong returns for Chicago.
Number 25, Oliver Miller returns to the Suns lineup.
Sabalas out.
Cedric Sabalas.
Get the ball there.
Miller was way up there with the elite. In fact, the leading field goal percentage in the league by a bunch, but with Barkley out, that's really dipped down considerably.
He needs to feed off of Barkley or Kevin Johnson with the rebound, and another attempt for Marley.
Off the front of the rim on both, and a push-off. By who? Kukoc. His third. Well, we talked to him before the game. What a likable young man, this Croatian. And we asked him what was different about his European experience in the NBA, and right away physical. He said, the adjustment to being more physical. He said, those are fouls where I used to play. But he's cold for him here today. Green gives Phoenix a 2-point lead.
He has a very difficult matchup with AC Green. Green is very active on the glass, and Kukoc could not get between Green and the ball and try to reach over. That's where the foul was called.
Green looking for his 7th point of the half. And a 3-point margin. About 2 seconds difference in the shot and game clock. And Phil Jackson will use his 22nd timeout to set something up with 11 on the shot clock. Well, on that Chicago bench, I guess we all, to a man and woman, miss number 23, Michael Jordan, who shocked us all with his retirement announcement. And what do you do when the superstar goes? Well, the Celtics, the year Russell was gone, lost 14 more games, and Chamberlain left the Lakers, and they were defeated 13 more times, and Magic a minus 15. But Michael Jordan goes, and the Bulls are up 3, and that's testimony to Scottie Pippen. He's taken a step-up role as the leader, and I feel, Snapper, the fact that although Jordan's gone, the defense has stayed.
The defense has stayed, and the fact that more people are now involved. They don't have as much leeway in their game as they used to with Michael Jordan. I mean, there were some times when the game could be looser, and they knew that Jordan could come to the rescue with a tremendous period himself. So now the game has to be tighter, and we've seen examples of how they're a little bit purer and cleaner in their execution and keeping everybody involved.
Here's one of the reasons. Kukoc picking up some of the slack. 6 seconds. Pippen takes it home. 51-50 with 5 seconds left in the half. AC Green way outside.
We saw him make one of those with the Lakers here against Phoenix in the playoffs to give the Suns some early problems last year. So the end of the half started slow for Chicago, with Dan Marley and others shooting so well. A 16-point lead in the first quarter, but the Bulls kept carving away, and at the break, 51-50 Phoenix. And the Bulls, with Scottie Pippen taking charge in the final seconds, 13 for him in the half. So at the break here at the America West Arena, the defending champions trail by 1.
Free piece of the rock.
And it's halftime in Phoenix, where the Suns, who had a 16-point lead at one point in the first half, are now up by just 1 at 51-50 over the Bulls, who continue to play extremely well, especially on this road trip. Now, the major NBA news at this hour involves the Friday trade between Houston and Detroit, which has been rescinded. The Pistons' Sean Elliott was to have gone to Houston in exchange for Robert Horry, Matt Bullard, and 2 second-round picks. But Elliott has failed his physical, and the Rockets have exercised their right to call off the deal. Now, Elliott had a knee injury while he was in college at Arizona. That caused some teams to be wary of him when it came time for the NBA draft, but he has had no significant problem as a pro player with the knee. He had missed 4 games recently with viral pneumonia while with the Pistons, for whom he averaged 13 points a game in 39 outings this year. And he played just 6 minutes in his last game this past Wednesday against the Bucks for the Pistons before being pulled from the game, and the Pistons listed the flu or viral pneumonia as the reason. Now, this is not unprecedented for a trade to be rescinded, but it is highly unusual. Here's a comment by Leslie Alexander, who is the owner of the Houston Rockets. We followed procedures. We made sure we were very prudent, and Sean did not pass his physical. And Rudy Tomjanovich follows with an equally obvious comment. We had a chance to get an all-star player. He didn't pass the physical, so Elliott goes back to the Pistons, and Horry and Bullard, along with the 2 second-round picks, go back to the Rockets. And this is big news not only for Houston, as they were obviously trying to gain some kind of edge in the hotly contested Western Conference race, but for teams like the Spurs and the Sonics and the Suns, who didn't want to see a player of Elliott's caliber, especially if he's 100%, coming to Rudy Tomjanovich and the Rockets. So, in the early game on NBC today, the Knicks hosted the Orlando Magic at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks were tied at that point with Chicago and Atlanta for best record in the East. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. It was a physical afternoon. Charles Oakley lost this battle to Shaq, but he wound up with 21 rebounds for the game. Here's Scott Skiles keying the Magic in the first half. Excellent pass here to Donald Royal for the easy 2. Shaq worked the power game inside, clearing out the paint here for 2 of his 22. He also had 13 rebounds. Orlando led by 1 at the half. But in the fourth quarter, the Knicks took control of the game. John Starks, the steal and the pull-up three-pointer, he had 18. Patrick Ewing won the battle in the pivot overall, finishing with a game-high 32 points, also had 9 rebounds. Knicks closed the game on an 18-4 run, broke open a close contest and won 95-77. One other game is a final. Golden State has beaten Washington 106-84. Big game for Chris Webber, 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists. Coming up, we'll bring you a conversation with Knicks head coach Pat Riley. That's after a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. One more note pertaining to the cancellation of the trade between the Pistons and the Rockets. Robert Horry and Matt Bullard are returning from Detroit to Houston. None of the players involved, Elliott for Houston or Bullard and Horry for Detroit, played with what would have been their new teams. None of them has seen action in a game, so in that sense, nothing really transpired. But Bullard and Horry are on their way back to Houston, but not in time to play tonight for the Rockets in their game at the Summit against the Timberwolves, so they won't make it against Minnesota. We're trying to get comments from the players and the management people involved on tape, and if we can get to that, we'll present it to you later in the day during the second half of our coverage of the Suns-Bulls game from Phoenix. Now, as we said earlier, the Knicks beat the Orlando Magic today at Madison Square Garden, and after the game, I had a chance to talk to Knicks head coach Pat Riley. Julius Erving had said earlier today that the Knicks weren't getting as many easy wins as they would like to, despite their good overall record, and I asked Riley about that.
I agree with him. I do think somewhere along the way, you know, the game has to open up for us a little bit more. We talk about it, we work on it in practice. We do have the nature, though, and I think also the force to be able to grind it out over a long period of time because we're conditioned to that. But I do agree. We're trying to improve in our transition. As a matter of fact, Bob, I think at the end of the game, that's what opened it up for us. And, you know, Greg Anthony was pushing the basketball. We got some great rebounding out of Oak, and, you know, we got some easy opportunities. And we're going to keep working on that.
This is an old story in New York, but maybe not for the rest of the country. There was some grumbling on your team about the offense being too predictable and everything going in to Patrick Ewing, and then you made the comment, look, I've got 6 championship rings, counting time as an assistant coach and a player with Chamberlain and then with Kareem, pounding it into the center position. You still feel the same way, right?
Well, I do. I mean, you develop a philosophy as a coach, and, you know, I happened to be very fortunate to play on teams and also coach teams that have great centers. So, you know, we are not one-dimensional oriented. You know, we are a post-offensive team, a power team with Patrick and Charles Smith and Anthony Mason down there, but we work a lot of pick-and-roll games for our guards. I think we have a lot of catch-and-shoot plays for John Starks and Rolando Blackman, so we do try to balance it out, but I do think you win championships, and you might be able to develop a dynasty someday if you have a great one in the middle, and we have a great one in the middle, and we're going to keep you know, trying to exploit that as much as we can.
We're watching Chicago play Phoenix now. Very honestly, like the rest of us, you've got to be surprised by what the Bulls have been able to do without Jordan.
Well, I'm a little bit surprised, but not overly surprised. I think the Chicago Bulls probably play the game of basketball better than anybody else in the league. I mean, they're a great execution team. They have great passers. I think they have a great concept with the triangle offense. And you got to give Phil Jackson and his staff a lot of credit for getting those guys to play above and beyond. And I think a lot of people may have underestimated, you know, the fact that when Michael left, the talent that they had, and, you know, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, B.J. Armstrong, and, you know, Tony Kukoc coming in there. They're a very talented team, but I think they're one of the best coached and one of the best teams in the league at playing the game of basketball.
Still, there's an element that's irreplaceable, and this isn't a knock at anybody else. When you get down to the crunch in playoff games and you're looking for a guy to make a shot with 3 people guarding him or to come up with a 50-point game like he had to answer you guys last year in the Eastern Conference playoffs, there isn't anybody else like Michael Jordan.
Well, there's Scottie Pippen now, so, I mean, all of a sudden that just sort of moves over to his shoulders there, and he's a big play guy. They'll have to play the game differently, obviously, at that time, and, you know, you do get addicted to that kind of person when your offense breaks down, and then you have a guy like Michael that can create for you. But I think by the time the playoffs come along, they'll be a lot more balanced. They'll understand the end of the game a little bit better.
How strong is the league right now? It's interesting that there are 6 or 7 teams that you could make a case for as an eventual champion, but is the overall strength of the league what it used to be?
I think it is. I think the commissioner has accomplished something. I think that a lot of people have wanted for years, and, you know, there's a lot of parity. I mean, if you want parity, I think parity is there right now. There's a lot of teams at 500 that can, on any given night, beat a contending team. I do think there's 6 or 7 championship contenders, and I do think as the season progresses, the smoke clears, I think it'd be logical who those are. But I think there's enough teams that can also be dark horses, Bob, as you go down the stretch. And, you know, it could be anybody that you can meet in the first round of the playoffs that might have an opportunity to win. So the overall strength of the league, I think, is through its parity, and on any given night, it's exciting, and I think people are enjoying that.
By the way, Pat Riley was never eligible to coach the East next week in Minneapolis in the All-Star game. The league has a relatively new rule of trying to spread the wealth a little bit, so you can't be the All-Star coach in consecutive seasons. They decide who the coach will be based on best record 2 weeks before the All-Star game. Riley not eligible. The honor goes to Lenny Wilkins of the Atlanta Hawks for the East and George Karl of the Supersonics for the West. We've still got second-half action from Phoenix. The Suns leading the Bulls by 1. And we rejoin Dick Enberg and Steve Jones after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
Phoenix in the first quarter, and the Bulls with the answer in the second, 51-50 at the intermission. And it's interesting to point out, Phoenix, the highest scoring team in the league. When they don't score 100, they're 1-7 this year. Obviously, that's Chicago's goal.
They need their offense, but defense. You know, when you get in a guy's shirt like that, that's been the story.
In my league, you just fouled me 3 times.
That's the story of the first half. And Chicago got very defensive-minded and was able to get the kinds of shots that they wanted. And the defense of the Phoenix Suns, which was good in the first half, broke down.
Look at the field goal shooting. You can see the differences there. Bulls 33, and then they come out 55% in the second, and the Suns cool off in the second quarter. Horace Grant with 12 points, 1 less than Scottie Pippen. Pippen leading Chicago, and Dan Marley on the Miller Genuine Draft halftime statistic sheet had a dozen to lead Phoenix. KJ with 11 and Sabalas with 10, and Marley getting the bulk of his points from outside the line. Hannah Storm is with the Phoenix coach.
Coach, it seemed like in the second quarter that the Bulls were able to move the ball a little better. They were hitting the offensive boards and getting some second shots. What sort of defensive adjustments do you make in the second half?
Well, I just think we have to guard them better. They have guys on their bench that aren't big-name players, but they can make baskets. And they came in, guys like Kirk, Kukoc, Wennington. I'm probably forgetting a couple of them, too, that if you give them shots, they make them. And you have to guard all their guys. You can't really help onto their stars and leave those guys open because they'll kill you, and that's what happened in the second quarter.
Coach, Kevin Johnson told me that his legs are getting a little tired in his first game back. Will you continue to try to rest him a bit in the second half?
Yeah, we'll try to play him for a few minutes and rest him for a couple and then get it out of him that way.
All right, good luck in the second half. Thanks. Dick?
All right, Hannah, Westfall with some selective loss of memory. One of those he forgot was John Paxson. Ready for the second half. The home team by 1. 31-16, middle of the first quarter, and then the Bulls come back. The last time they were in front was the top of the game. And Chicago gets the ball first. Both teams go with their original starting 5s.
The 2 forwards, Pippen and Grant, have been really the force out of the starting 5. B.J. Armstrong has yet to get his act going, scored his first hoop and struggled since then.
Does that look like an intimidating haircut to you?
I think more than the other. Yes, more than with fuller growth. B.J. Armstrong to Grant.
Let's see if Chicago tries to get B.J. Armstrong involved offensively and get him started.
Pippen, Sabalas on him. Marley.
5 on the shot clock.
Oops, Pippen off his knee right to Myers, and he rattles it out. But Grant, another offensive board. B.J. spots up for his 3. Boy, look at that. Grant, he kept it alive. Cartwright, and was fouled. But again, Grant with 2 offensive boards to start this second half. A.C. Green
in a
foul.
scramble. They end up with Bill Cartwright at the rim. He lays that short, and A.C. Green is not going to let him get the next one in the air. So Cartwright will go to the line.
First foul on Green. Cartwright with his trademark goatee shave this year. Said he took care of that this summer. One of the gray beards, certainly, of the NBA. They're the 6th oldest. Some message there. The taller and bigger you are, the longer you last.
Well, it takes them longer to develop, so they figured that you could stay in a little bit longer as well. Cartwright has had some knee problems and is trying to work himself back into some sort of contributing fashion for the Chicago Bulls. Good pressure by Armstrong.
Well, they've made him use 14 seconds off the clock, and Johnson goes down. Cartwright to Pippen. Johnson gets up limping and barking at the official.
And he took a knee in the calf. The ball comes to him. He wants a 22nd.
Yeah, he didn't see the ball there. He was still favoring the knee and looking at the official. Armstrong. Finally, Miller clears it to KJ. Looks okay now, doesn't he? To Sabalas. Partially blocked by Pippen. And A.C. Green unable to connect. So the Bulls with the lead, 52-51. Wide open is Grant. Pippen with the assist. Horace with 14 to lead all scores. And not a good start for Phoenix. And Paul Westphal calls time and wants to check on Kevin Johnson.
You all right? Kevin Johnson was trying to get around Cartwright. You can see right there the knees came together, and maybe he hit that funny spot on your knee where all of a sudden, you know, you lose all senses. And he got up, and eventually it got right for him because he made a good push the other way. He's going to stay in the game.
You had the impression that it would have felt a lot better had he gotten a foul out of the contact. Trying to work out the kinks, and of course also the fact that he's been out of action. Last year he missed 33 games, 31 of those due to injury, and 15 this year. He and Barkley out of the lineup, and you can ill afford to lose that kind of talent.
You can't afford to lose that kind of firepower. Kevin Johnson trying to get a foul against B.J. Armstrong, goes all the way to the hole.
He had made up his mind to go coast to coast.
Kevin Johnson wanted to say something to Bill Spooner. He feels that he didn't get the call the first time. Here's another example where Armstrong is bodying him, and it takes a dive on the floor to finally get the call.
Hannah?
Well, Kevin Johnson during that timeout told Suns trainer Joe Prosky that he got kneed in the right calf. It was not in the same spot where he suffered the contusion on his right leg that helped to keep him out for the last several games. Also, when Paul Westphal approached him, Kevin Johnson waved him off, indicating that he wanted to indeed stay in the game. Dick?
Thank you, Hannah. Johnson gets the first of 2, 54-52 Chicago. KJ, he too, interest in Michael Jordan's baseball career. He was drafted as a shortstop in his high school days in Sacramento by the Oakland A's. He wanted to be the next Bert Campaneris.
Play all 9 positions?
I don't know if he did that. Old Campy did. B.J. Armstrong hits his 5th point, the 3. And the Bulls picking up tempo, and now a steal. Myers to Pippen, flying home with a slam, and Chicago starting to exert its champion's muscle.
And this is the thing about Chicago. Again, it's being done by everybody on the team, and they feel comfortable in other people's arena. They've always felt that they could win, and now that they've gotten a little streak going, if they get used to Savalas, you know, they don't mind being behind. They'd always like to be ahead, but they feel they can play from the rear.
First field goal for Phoenix, nearly 3 minutes of this second half.
Defensive pressure, and you can see that Oliver Miller is giving Scottie Pippen a lot of room, and that's not good news.
You called it. Another 3, and it's 18 for the All-Star Pippen. And Westphal wants time as his team outscored early here in the second half.
Pete Myers flexed the ball away from Dan Marley, and he knows that Oliver Miller is thinking shot block, so he gets it to the high-flying Pippen.
Chicago with a 12-4 jump start in the second half. Championships in a row, and Phil Jackson and everyone else would say that's Michael Jordan. Well, not necessarily. We asked Jackson yesterday, how about Scottie Pippen? When did he take a leadership role?
Well, I think that happened about 3 years ago from my standpoint. But, you know, still he had Michael there all the time on the floor with him. They played with each other, but where Michael kind of gave Scottie the leadership role was in practice and the day-to-day behavior of the ball club. And about 3 years ago, at the beginning of our championship runs, Scottie became the vocal and the motivational leader in practices.
That's interesting.
It is, because everyone thinks that it was Michael Jordan all of the time, so it's not so strange that Scottie Pippen is the man on the team now.
For 3 years, he took that leadership role in practice. Grant underneath, back out to Pippen. Kind of slung that one up there, and a foul underneath.
Every now and then you get that look of bewilderment from Phil Jackson on the sideline, but Grant picks up the foul, trying to retrieve it off the glass. Coaches like to see their players hustling, and that time that one went against Grant. That's 3.
That's the first quarter. The Bills starting front court, outscoring Phoenix 24-6.
See if they can get Savalas going again. He had a good start, but he has struggled since that early start.
Green lost control, hit the underside of the backboard to Chicago. This is where no Charles Barkley, where you're not getting that front court punch.
The Suns have to come back out, and they're trying to do it now defensively, trying to make the Chicago Bulls set up further, trying to close that distance to where they're almost hugging and kissing to where they can control what the Chicago Bulls do.
Savalas running into Pippen it's Oliver Miller as they made contact. 3rd on Miller.
Oliver Miller is in a mismatch, and that's a tough situation for him, and trying to close the distance. Pippen quick off the dribble, gets a first step in there at the line. Penalty situation.
Hard to believe that this man was not recruited out of high school, that he went to Central Arkansas as the football manager and then grew into a top NAIA star with the Bears out of Hamburg, Arkansas. Scottie Pippen, now one of the game's very best.
I'm going to get you back into the basketball mode. There are no Bears out there. These are all Bulls. And I know that Arkansas gets a lot of football players.
I thought you were talking stock market. You had me worried. 63-55, Chicago's biggest lead, and a foul. Pippen gets it, his second.
How do you beat pressure? You pass the basketball. Now, if they're pressuring the ball like that, you want to try to pop that ball and get away from the pressure as quickly as you can. And Phoenix is taking a little bit too long, trying to do too much in a one-on-one and off the dribble.
Pippen on Savalas, and he throws it away. So again, that vice-like pressure that Chicago places on the ball, forcing a turnover. Chicago's outscored Phoenix 15-4.
here's a guy you want to make shoot, and that's Myers. Myers does not shoot the ball very well from the perimeter, and he's a guy that, you know, can get you started the other way.
Boy, how did Johnson control that ball? And Marley has it knocked away to Phoenix. Kevin Johnson to the bench as Elliot Perry returns.
Well, Kevin Johnson is the best at splitting defenses and then somehow stays low to retrieve that when Marley trying to come to the iron, lost control, knocked out by the Bulls. They got 16 on the shot clock.
Perry had a couple of jumpers in the first half off the bench. And they're going to call him for a double dribble.
Looking for Dan Marley on a screen. They denied him, and Perry thought he was going to pop, and at that time looked to Earl Strom like he put both hands on it right there.
Good call. Darryl Garrettson spotted it, even though it was just a brief touch. Myers around Sabalas to Horace Grant. Sabalas, Pippen had a piece of it. Marley. All right, nothing going for Phoenix. Armstrong from Pippen. Good. And a foul as Mark West tried to clear, and Myers got a piece of it. His third.
While we have a moment, we want to wish a speedy recovery to one of our favorite officials, Earl Strom. Back home and get well soon.
All Chicago here in the third. 6 minutes to go in the quarter.
One of the problems that the Suns are having is identifying where they want to get a score.
Mark West. Now that's a long jumper for him.
That is, and if you have to have Mark West as your primary scorer, then you know that your offense is struggling a bit. They've got Sabalas, Marley out there who are the guys that should be carrying the offensive load.
Perry all over Armstrong, and Sabalas almost with the steal. His foot was on the sideline.
This is the kind of pressure that Paul Westphal wants to see. Sabalas jumps into the passing lane but couldn't control the ball, but they had good pressure on. They got to reset the clock. And you can see Barkley wants the clock moved down.
9 seconds on the shot clock.
And the reason for that, Sabalas had no control in that last Chicago possession.
John Paxson returns. Myers out. Mild booing from the upper reaches of America West for Paxson. Pippen over West. West with a rebound. Perry scooting into the offensive end.
Trying to come back through Mark West.
Perry left open. He hits another from outside. 6 for him. 4-point game.
Perry has been struggling, shooting about 35%, so all 3 of his perimeter tries have gone in, and that's good news for Westphal and Perry in terms of offensive production.
Cartwright against West. West does the defensive job. Sabalas to Perry. Great pass.
Perry wanted the 2. Kevin Johnson cheers the effort, but you'll see when they come inside to Cartwright, and he cannot overpower Mark West. West is equally as strong. That turns Perry loose, and he's thinking Sabalas all the way. Armstrong said, yeah, pass off, yeah.
Perry at the line. .63-60 is KJ. He liked that. Sabalas out. Johnson returns.
So they get smaller. Dan Marley will go up front and play. They lose the offensive rebounding of Sabalas, but after a quick early start, Sabalas has been held in check by the Chicago Bulls this afternoon.
Well, Perry's been perfect. 3 for 3 from outside and hit both free throws. A 1-point game, or 2-point game now. 63-61 with 4:27 left in the third. Wennington to Pippen. 5 on the clock. Paxson. Oh, another dagger. John Paxson into Phoenix.
You know what they're saying? Do you do that in any other building but this one? We have seen 2 buzzer beaters by Paxson. That still brings back the 6th game of the championship for all of those here in America West Arena.
Marley couldn't get around Pippen. Perry. Now Marley open for 3 and hits it at the buzzer. 15 for Marley, 4 trays hit by the former Central Michigan star.
Again, Marley got a chance to get set, and when he's in that position, his chances go up dramatically.
Knocked away by KJ. Westfall and Jackson, they played against each other several years in the NBA when Westfall was the offensive gun and Jackson known for his defense.
Against the clock, Paxson has been true to the mark this afternoon and still reminding people that if you give him a chance to shoot an open court shot, he's going to hurt you. The same thing for Dan Marley, that with 1 second on the clock.
Anything you can do, I can't.
And a Storm, along with Charles Barkley, who is missing his 15th game today because of injury, a torn quadriceps tendon above his right knee. Charles, how has your team managed to get back in this game, and what do they need to do to pull it out?
Well, I think we got to get everybody involved. We got to play better defense. We didn't play very good defense the first half, and we turned the ball over. The Bulls are a great defensive team, and you can't turn the ball over against them.
Is there any way that the injuries that you've suffered, that KJ and Danny have suffered, might be beneficial to this team down the stretch? Because a lot of younger guys have had to pick up the slack for you.
That depends on if we win or not. If we win, yeah, it'll be very beneficial. If we don't win, it won't be beneficial.
For those people that didn't see your comments earlier on playing in the All-Star game a week from today in Minneapolis, so what are your chances of playing in that game?
Well, I'm planning on playing an All-Star game.
When will you make a definitive decision?
Thursday.
Okay, great, Charles. Thanks. Look forward to seeing you there. Dick?
All right, thanks, Hannah. And Sir Charles, Phil Jackson wanted to foul as Armstrong trying to beat the buzzer, and a 24-second violation. And here comes Phoenix on a 9-2 run with a chance to reclaim the lead, down 65-64.
Well, I see you still read lips very well.
Got to do that in this business. Never know when the boss is talking about you. Mark West over Wennington, and Pippen hauls down the rebound. Knocked away. And a foul called by Garrettson.
B.J. Armstrong coming to the hoop against the clock, and that's where Phil Jackson said he wanted to foul, but no contact. Shot clock violation. Chicago has the ball back and a new 24.
A.C. Green with a foul. Back to Charles Barkley. I wonder if Charles has met the new Phoenix Cardinal coach, Buddy Ryan. Can you imagine Buddy Ryan and Charles Barkley in the same town? Whatever happened to the peaceful environs here in the desert, Phoenix, Arizona? It's going to be an interesting year for the fans.
Well, they brought them both here for winning, and Barkley has done just that for the Phoenix Suns, taking them back to the finals, and they hope to get the championship this year. And Buddy Ryan says you got a winner, and we'll find out whether that's true for that football team.
Brought them both from Philadelphia, but they could hide a little better in the city of brotherly love.
Well, they're not the type to want to hide, though.
66-64. KJ to Mark West, and West ties it at 66.
First assist of this afternoon for Kevin Johnson.
Good coach back in. Perry hawking Armstrong. Paxson
Another three. John Paxson, John Macbeth Paxson has 10 points.
2 minutes.
There are some arenas that players like better than others, and this is obviously one that Paxson likes to shoot in. He has been deadly here this afternoon, and you look at the numbers he's had earlier, he's been struggling.
AC Green muscles inside and draws the foul from Kukoc, his fourth.
The penetration and the quick pass from Tony Kukoc set up John Paxson. What do you tell a player is don't leave a shooter, and you can see teammate Steve Kerr cheering.
Kerr, another three-point star, and of course Phoenix with one of its outside shooters, Danny Ainge, still trying to recover from an ankle injury. AC Green makes it 69-67, and Kerr returns.
One of the biggest differences in the NBA game is the fact that more and more coaches are setting things up for three-point shots, trying to spread the floor, get better spacing, and the Chicago Bulls are one of the best teams in the NBA in terms of spacing their people so that they can get scoring opportunities.
10 rebounds for Pippen now to lead Chicago. Kukoc left open. AC Green.
Perry and Johnson are playing together, and this is kind of an unusual mix. Both have to have the ball. We'll see how that works out for them. Kevin looking for some kind of pass inside.
AC Green from KJ ties it at 69. 10 for Green.
Good ball movement, good player cut by AC Green to get the score.
Scottie Pippen. Elliott Perry climbing high. On the run to KJ. Phoenix leads 71-69. 15 for Johnson. Elliott Perry on the hold, his first foul. 37 seconds left in the third quarter.
First in the last 2 minutes, but that's the kind of defensive presence that Paul Westphal wants to see. Don't let him get the ball. Don't let him cut where they want. Sabala's back in the ball game. AC Green takes a seat.
The end of the court does AC Green. That's Charles Barkley's spot with a bad back. Pippen turned down the three. Fans wanted to travel. Kukoc, what a nice pass to Pippen. At 6'10", Kukoc certainly sees the floor well.
And there was some good patience by Pippen and the Chicago Bulls to finally end up with something over the rim. They're going to double on Kevin Johnson.
Final seconds of the third quarter, and Kevin Johnson, speed burner, 17 for him to lead Phoenix. Kukoc, travel is the call. That translates in all languages.
You're still reading lips. But he comes in and he's going to make a spin, and Kevin Johnson just strips him of the ball. It was a good defensive play. Kukoc frustrated this afternoon.
Perry rattles out a frenetic third in Phoenix. The Suns losing the lead and then reclaiming it 73-71 with Kevin Johnson. His first start in over a month. The Sparks. A 2-point lead. We return to Phoenix after a word from your local station.
Chicago Bulls for some time. Right here, the crowd wanted it travel, but it shows you the patience that the Chicago Bulls have in staying with their offense. They move the ball, they let people touch it. Suddenly, Scottie Pippen is open again right at the rim. Nice feed from Tony Kukoc. That's the reason that Pippen and the Bulls have been so successful this year.
And why he's going to his fourth All-Star game. Pippen leading all scorers with 22 and rebounders with 10, plus 5 assists. The complete star.
Now, Sabalos is back on the floor, and he's been shut down. They want to try to spring him, and they want to try to keep Kevin Johnson going to see if Kevin Johnson can continue to get by Steve Kerr.
Mark West blocked by Kukoc.
West was really not on balance when he tried to go back up with that one, so that was a good play for Kukoc to make. Wide open Kukoc.
Marley got a piece of it. .74-71. Marley was 17.
That's the adjustment that Kukoc has to make. Being hit and being able to control his body and the basketball when there's some physical pressure.
9-2 Phoenix run. Grant. Jump hook. And Horace Grant has 16. Johnson missing his last two outside jumpers.
With Kerr and Paxson, and if the Bulls are going to break, they're going to have to pass the ball. They don't have a lot of foot speed, neither one of those. Kukoc trying to overpower Marley.
Marley knocked it away. 7 on the shot clock. Grant with 5. Rebound West. Here come the Suns leading by 2. KJ to Perry. Beautiful pass and conversion by Perry. Home team by 4. Phoenix playing a more intensive defensive style now.
They're making them work against the clock. Grant doesn't know how much time is left. Lets it go.
Rebound Sabalos. Kevin Johnson went down again. He's all right.
Got a mismatch here with Kevin Johnson and Kukoc. Johnson can get to the rim. We'll see what Sabalos does on the other side.
19 for KJ, and Barkley and Phoenix like what they see.
Kevin Johnson with a real nice read and feed to Elliott Perry, showing that he can move without the basketball. That gets the crowd on their feet, and this keeps him standing as Kevin Johnson has Tony Kukoc on his heels and shoots over the top.
6-point lead for Phoenix. All-star game in overtime.
Stockton to Barkley.
For 3. Sir Charles. Three-pointer for Barkley on a 135-132 overtime win. This year's Miller Genuine Draft NBA All-Star balloting has concluded for next Sunday's game in Minneapolis. Here are the results. West starters voted by the fans. At guard, Mitch Richmond, Clyde Drexler. Forward, Barkley and Sean Kemp. And at center, Hakeem Olajuwon. And a look at the West reserves coached by George Karl of Seattle. And for the East, the starters at guard, Kenny Anderson and B.J. Armstrong, with Derek Coleman and Scottie Pippen at forward, Shaquille O'Neal to center. The East reserves, and Lenny Wilkins just edging Phil Jackson for the coaching job of the Eastern Stars. Next week, you'll see it all, the 44th annual NBA All-Star Game. It begins at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 3 in the West.
Scott Williams in the ball game to give him some defensive presence and offensive activity. See if that Pippen and the Bulls up.
Pippen's runner doesn't connect, but Armstrong gets the loose ball. 9 minutes to go.
Pippen was wide open underneath against Kevin Johnson. They didn't see him.
Chicago trying to slow this 13-4 Phoenix charge. Kerr rattles out. Elliott Perry. Phoenix as they trade off offensive shows by quarter, apparently. Phoenix had the first quarter, the Bulls the second and third, and then the Suns rallying here in the fourth.
Marley trying to beat Scott Williams off the dribble. Williams showing he can move his feet for a big guy and stayed with him. Shot
They were running out of time, and Perry forced the pass. Kerr. Good move by Kerr. Looked off Marley. 10 points for Steve Kerr off the bench. Jackson and Kerr have kept Chicago in the game in many respects with their shooting. 10 and 10 for the two veterans.
Now, they've done extremely well. They've given Phil Jackson a shot on the arm when B.J. Armstrong has had an off day. Kevin Johnson lost control of the basketball.
Jamming his way.
Now, you'll see Scottie Pippen is wide open. Please, somebody pass me the ball. And out of it, they get good defensive pressure. There was 2 on the shot clock when Steve Kerr stepped in and going to use his body to protect the ball against Dan Marley to get the score.
Scott Williams, B.J. Armstrong, and Steve Kerr in the backcourt with Grant and Pippen. Ooh, Pippen almost lost it. 7 on the shot clock. Armstrong.
Oh, that's great movement without the ball. They get an interior pass, and right to the hoop goes Armstrong. Nobody comes with them, and he gets a score.
Bulls pull within a basket. Johnson again, and he draws the hold against B.J. Armstrong.
All right, this is what makes this play possible for B.J. Armstrong. Right here with the ball in here, and then he'll just follow it, and when you watch it clear, you'll see this is the way you want to play. Give it up, get it back, score the basket.
That's the kind of play you used to score on at Oregon for your years in Pro Bowl.
That's the easiest way. You know, basketball hasn't changed. If you do that, you can still play.
Oliver Miller back in for Phoenix. 2 points only for Miller and 5 rebounds. Mark West against Grant, loses it. And it goes out of bounds to Phoenix.
Now, Mark West normally stays within himself. He found himself down on the baseline, decided to go one-on-one against a mobile Horace Grant. Not going to be able to get by him right there. Loses control, but they're fortunate to get it back.
And Marley. Pippen high for another rebound. Bulls trailing by 2 with just under 7 to go. Kerr to Scott Williams. Blocked by West, but a foul.
So number 10, Oliver Miller.
Fourth foul on Oliver Miller.
Oliver Miller gambled from the rear. They gave the foul
to Miller. And with it, a timeout. 6:49 remaining in the fourth. A 2-point game.
In New York with a quick update on the Houston-Detroit trade, which was rescinded earlier today when Sean Elliott didn't pass a physical. Robert Horry and Matt Bullard now will remain in Houston, and Sean Elliott is still a Piston. A short time ago, Rocket coach Rudy Tomjanovich met with the Houston media.
It was just something on the business part of this league I felt would help us. We went through the process. We found out it couldn't be done. We go back to our old team that was pretty damn good.
We are still trying to ascertain why Elliott didn't pass the Rockets' physical, and so too are the Pistons. Here is the statement from their Director of Player Personnel, Billy McKinney. At this time, we are unaware of the reason Sean Elliott didn't pass his examination in Houston. We will make the appropriate comments upon the review of those results. And right now, let's send it back to Phoenix as we rejoin Dick Enberg and Snapper Jones for the call of the Suns and the Bulls.
All right, Bob, not quite the intensity of the atmosphere of the playoffs, but a game where Phoenix especially, even though Paul Westphal joked about it, needs to come up with a win against the defending champions. They want to say, hey, we're ready to take you on again if that should happen down the line. But it's the Bulls trailing by only 2, and Scott Williams with a chance to tie.
Well, the Bulls are trying to show that they're not paper mache. And they don't shoot free throws very well, and that has plagued them this year. But still, they've got a marvelous record. The Phoenix Suns are not so sharp either.
Both shooting better than their season's average, but Williams misses the second. And the Suns by 1, 6:45 to go. We'll be right at that 100-point mark. It'll be interesting to see. Phoenix winning only
once all year when they scored under 100 points. Marley stolen by Kerr. BJ with 2 Suns back.
Ball got stuck on his hip. He was trying to pass it back out, and they get a foul against Scott Williams.
His first.
B.J. Armstrong, with a little hesitation, was not able to get by, and the reason the ball got stuck, Elliot Perry got a piece of it. A.C. Green picks up the foul against Scott Williams.
Only the 6th turnover by the Bulls.
Pippen has done a marvelous job against Sabalas, keeping him away from the basketball.
Elliot Perry. Kerr tips it out to Armstrong. Stolen by Sabalas off Kerr's bounce pass. It remains 79-78 Phoenix. Under 6 to go. Kerr on Marley. Oliver Miller is short with his jumper. Williams with a rebound, and Pippen says slow it down.
Pippen said, let's make sure we get a good shot, and he's sending different people to different spots out on the floor. They want to spread the floor and try to get a good scoring opportunity. Shot clock moving toward 5.
With 4, Williams. Rebound Miller over Kerr. And a time call by Paul Westphal on the Phoenix bench. Crunch time it is, with the Suns leading 79-78. Scoring teams in the league. Phoenix once again the most productive with Chicago. They win their games on defense as much as offense, down in the 21st slot. And I said before that Phoenix has won only once, and that was against Seattle, scoring under 100. They've lost the other 7 times. They didn't hit the century mark. And it doesn't appear somebody gets red hot that they're going to hit 100 today. They've been scoreless the last 4 minutes plus, Phoenix.
They spread it out and got a 7-point advantage. Chicago has answered that, and Chicago will now try to stop Kevin Johnson back in the ball game with the basketball.
5 to go for Kevin Johnson. Horace Grant with a rebound, and Sabalas fouled him. 10 rebounds for Horace Grant.
That's the kind of shot they want to give Kevin Johnson. He was clean, had a good look at it, didn't go in. Now they've got to come back and defend against Paxson and Kerr in the backcourt.
Grant to Pippen. Won't fall, and A.C. Green saves. And a push. Timeout by Green. As he was falling out of bounds, he yelled time. And that saved the ball for Phoenix.
Well, Pippen gets pushed off this ball. A.C. Green is one of the better touchy-feely players in the league. And you can see him say, I want time.
And a generous acceptance by the official. He was down already out of bounds.
119. Next Sunday, sports' most competitive All-Star game shines on NBC in prime time. Barton, O'Neal, Olajuwon, Pippen, Robinson, and more. The NBA All-Star game next Sunday.
The cry for Chicago without Jordan was, you got to win on the road, because those wins give you home court advantage in the playoffs. And this has been a very impressive trip by Chicago. Denver was 15-6 at home. They lose to Chicago. Utah was 17-4 at home, and Golden State 12-9. Phoenix is 18-3 here in this ballpark. So the Chicago Bulls trying to impress everyone away from Chicago Stadium, where they've won 17 in a row.
And that's a big reversal from their first West Coast trip, in which they were 2 for 5. They had no Pippen on that one. So again, the importance of Pippen is very dramatic. Kevin Johnson
doesn't hit. Sabalas. Oh, what a rebound follow for Sabalas, 81-78. Phoenix by 3. That's his first points of the fourth quarter. He's only scored 6 since the opening period. Grant trying to keep it alive, but Oliver Miller collects for Phoenix. 7 rebounds for Big O. Sabalas. And they're going to call him for running into Pippen. His second.
It's important that you stay under control. You can see on this effort, Sabalos is under control, following the flight of the ball all the way to get the score. This time out of control, trying to squeeze a pass into AC Green and a turnover.
3:45 left. Chicago trails by 3. Pippen over Marley. 81-80 Phoenix. 24 for Scottie Pippen. He came back off that foot injury in the first game against Phoenix in Chicago and whipped in 29 when they thought, well, he just play a little bit. Sabalas.
Well, he found the keys to his office again, and now he's trying to go to work down in the slot. Nice little pass from Kevin Johnson and over the top with Sabalas, back-to-back move.
16 points for him. Inside to Pippen. AC Green. AJ, slow it up. 45 to go, and then with the whip pass. Rebound Grant. Bulls down by 3.
Coming back to Pippen in isolation, trying to make him the creator in this situation. Nice pass for Grant.
Look who's over here in three-point range. Paxson, but he does not connect. And a foul on Scott Williams, his second.
First ball number 42, Scott Williams.
Paul Westphal has said we don't run plays for Cedric Sabalas. He just has an act for scoring a little brush screen, and Pippen loses sight of where he is, and then it's a score. And trying to get to the ball, Scott Williams picks up the foul.
2 team fouls on Phoenix, 3 on Chicago. KJ and Scott Williams, his third.
If a body's moving, Scott Williams is going to get a piece of it. And Williams right there trying to change direction, couldn't get stopped, and that puts a penalty situation. And the reaction of Scott Williams, not a happy guy, knows that he should have been over there a little bit earlier. And Kevin Johnson, who has been a perennial 80% free thrower, on the line.
He's 5 for 5 today. .208 left, and a timeout called by Chicago. It'll be Kevin Johnson at the line, 83-80, after this timeout in Phoenix, where the Suns have an 83-80 lead over the defending NBA champions. Look at the starting all-star guards. B.J. Armstrong, a quiet game, only 7. KJ returning after being on the shelf with injury and chickenpox. A solid 19-point effort.
And a chance to get to 20 with this free throw. Armstrong on the bench. It has been a day in which he has not been in the mix and never got a rhythm at the offensive end. And the other players have stepped up, Paxson and Kerr. So he'll have to sit and watch unless Bill Jackson thinks there's a situation where he can use Armstrong's three-point shooting.
See some of the pox marks on Kevin Johnson's face and body. He really was attacked. 1 out of 2 for him, 84-80. 2:08 to go. 20 points leads Phoenix for KJ. Kerr with a quick pop. A 2-pointer. Why the Bulls are right up there with the NBA elite again this year, despite Michael Jordan's retirement. People like Kerr and Paxson and Wennington off the bench to deliver. Scott Williams with a rebound. He's returning from injury, and here come the Bulls.
Quick jump shot by Sabalos turned the Bulls loose. Let's see if they can tie the score with this possession.
Into the main man, Pippen. Marley. 1:22 to go.
Trying to run a two-man game with Sabalos and Kevin Johnson. They force him to pick the ball up. Shot clock at 5.
Oh, my. Kevin Johnson with a tough inside move jams his way for a critical basket. 86-82. 20-second timeout.
Good exchange, and Kevin Johnson gets the position right here. He was thinking foul all the way. An intense Charles Barkley.
That's his move. I gave you that one, KJ. Till I get back. Well, he says he'll play in the All-Star game next Sunday, and Paul Westphal encourages that. If he passes all the medical exams, I said, it gives him a chance to work off some rust before he rejoins us for the stretch run. 1:04 to go. Chicago down by 4. There's your timeout situation. And fouls to give. Bulls a handicap in that department. Knicks won earlier over Orlando as they pulled away in the fourth quarter, 95-77, and Golden State a winner today against Washington, 106-84. The big trip for Chicago.
There's still plenty of time for Chicago to get back in this game. Let's see how they execute. Scott Williams right at the rim.
Knocked away by Sabalos, but a foul, and Sabalos thought he got all ball. From this angle, it looked as if he made a pretty good play.
First in the last 2 minutes.
Anytime a player gets in this deep, you have players reaching in and reacting. That time Sabalos thought he got all the ball, but the official said no. We'll see how Williams does at the line under the gun.
86-83 Phoenix. Williams' first free throws of the season are in this game. He's now 2 for 3. Cooley drops in a deuce, and Phoenix's lead is 2.
Kerr came down and pressured Kevin Johnson, wanting to make them take more time off the clock before they get into the set. They're going to come back with the same two-man play. Now they want to get the ball to Kevin Johnson, but Oliver Miller sees Sabalos.
Oh, beautiful block by Grant, but they're going to call that goaltending. Goaltending on Grant, 88-84. 18 points for Sabalos.
Oliver Miller, a very good passing center. The ball in the middle, and again, Barkley's cheering on the sideline.
Marley and the foul. He tried to strip Scottie Pippen. Only his first foul in the penalty, so Pippen will shoot a couple.
Marley trying to come through Pippen and make a play, gets a piece of him.
Does play hard, doesn't he? Pippen's 25th point cuts the Phoenix lead to 3. Just push it, says Westphal. Don't foul is the other piece of information.
They're going to have the ball, and they want to run away from the Bulls because they can run out the clock and win the game with this 2-point advantage. The Bulls are going to try for a steal, and if they don't get it, a foul.
Paxson with the foul. And this is starting to develop into, well, the way we started today, with a reflection on Game 6 of the playoffs with Phoenix leading by 2. Phoenix leads today by 2, and of course it was Paxson's spot in the three-pointer that will put him in NBA history.
Pippen trying to talk Sabalos out of a free throw here at least. And he talked to him all the way down. Marley tried to push him away. Sabalos has not been a good free thrower, but under the gun, he's been able to step up. He's had a big fourth quarter. He's got 6 in his quarter.
He has not shot a free throw today. He's hitting almost 3 out of 4 on the year.
Oh, yeah!
Pippen comes over and just gives him another little jaw. Yeah, he said, that's it. I got you now. I got you. Got your mind working.
And you see, this is prior to it, and Marley trying to stay in between and say, hey, just get up there, do your routine, shoot it. Sabalos missed the first. Grant and Pippen came over and said hello.
Whoa, rattles in. So the Phoenix lead is 3, and Pippen gives Sabalos a little extra going away. With 21 seconds and change left, the champion Bulls need a 3-pointer to tie. Boy, he does everything, doesn't he? He rebounds. He's the assist man. He's the leading scorer.
He's the voodoo man as well.
He's number 1 in the debate league. Well, a reminder, next Sunday night in prime time, the NBA's best will gather in Minneapolis, the All-Star game, number 44. Olajuwon, Barkley says he'll be on the Western starting lineup, the top vote getter against Shaquille O'Neal, Scottie Pippen, and the best of the East. NBA All-Star Classic Sunday at 6 Eastern Time, 3 Pacific. Game 6, last year's NBA Finals. The Suns led 98-96. John Paxson alone for 3. He hits this memorable shot, the shot that won it for the Bills. 3-peat Chicago. As we said at the start of the show, he told us that this is his last season. I asked him, well, how about that 3-pointer? He said, my 7-year-old son, I watch him out in the backyard, and he's going 8, 7, 6, 5. Paxson for 3. Good. Oh, what a legacy.
Now they're down to at least a 3-point field goal that could tie the game. Possession is everything for the Phoenix Suns. Paul Westphal has to make a decision. Do you foul for possession, or do you play straight up defense, give them a 2, get the ball back, possibly end up in a free throw situation?
Phil Jackson has worked out his strategy. And one would think that inside to Pippen is the way it'll start, and then one of those 2 3-point shooters clear on the outside. Kerr and Paxson both in the game, and Paxson with a smile on his face leaving the bench and rubbing his hands as if to say, here I am again.
Well, Johnny on the spot, the last-second hero for the Chicago Bulls, is about to check in the game, and that's Tony Kukoc. Kukoc has come up with 3 game-winning efforts for them, and they have 3-point people out there, Pippen, Paxson, Kerr, and Kukoc. Horace Grant is no 3-point threat.
Almost the full 24 seconds for Chicago. Oh, Kukoc takes it right to the hole. Grant can't hit. Grant again. Tipped by Pippen. No. Grant to Paxson with 10 seconds. Kukoc from 3. And a whistle. Timeout had been called in the middle of that skirmish by Chicago with 7 seconds to go before the shot, so they still have the ball.
And Kukoc turned down the 3 and went for the deuce, and they were going for the quick score. You see the timeout situation. The Bulls are finished. Nothing left for them. They got to go for the home run now. Kukoc right at the rim and just misses the ball. There's Grant with an overlay. He tips it again, tips it one more time. The ball pops out long, and finally they get control. And right in here, you got somebody, Scottie Pippen, calling timeout behind Tony Kukoc, and there's 12 seconds left. He knows the pain. And it was more than an Excedrin he had all summer long.
This stirs back the bad memories when Phoenix felt that they had that game 6-1 and were going to take it game 7 at home with a chance at the title, but it would be 3-peat for the Bulls.
Again, the strategy is the same for Paul Westphal. He has to make a decision on whether he wants the ball or he wants to give them 2 and then get possession of the ball. The Chicago Bulls are going to take a quick score, whatever is available.
You mentioned Kukoc has had a flair for the dramatic in his first year in the NBA. 3 last-second baskets have won games for Chicago. The first in November beat the Bucks. Then on Christmas night against Orlando,
2 seconds to play. He wins at January 21st, Indiana. 0.8 of a second, and this one off the glass. He just threw it up there and got the Croatian kiss.
The Pink Panther is a big-time performer, and he knows how to play under pressure. We'll find out whether he gets a chance to get his fourth and tie this one up.
When in the skirmish of the last possession, there were 7 seconds left on the clock when they stopped it. The time had been called 5 seconds earlier, so a reasonable amount of time to work out something for Chicago. They've got 12 full seconds.
I have always believed if you're the home team and you're in this situation, you foul for possession of the basketball. Put them on the line, make them make the free throws, put them in a position where they might even have to try to miss one and make one. Pippen.
Blocked by Miller. Grant, Paxson, Kerr. Oh my! Kevin Johnson attacked Kerr. A flagrant foul has to be the call.
It is. It's 2 and on the side, and that couldn't be anything but that call, and the worst play for the Phoenix Suns at that time. They got into a scramble situation, and Chicago finally got possession of the ball back. Kerr went up trying to launch a 3, and Kevin Johnson just jerked him off the shot.
Kerr trying to put all the pieces back together. Look at this hit.
Well, Kevin knows, and see right there, he's not making a play on the ball at all, and that's why you get the flagrant foul.
Unless the ball has a lot of blonde hair on it.
And they're saying, no, there's no timeouts. You guys have no timeouts. You can't come over here to the sideline. You got to come back out here and play, and that's what Westphal wanted to remind Daryl Garrettson. They tried to squeeze in a little strategy during the dead ball situation, but Kerr goes to the line. A.C. Green trying to talk him out of something. Yeah, it's still a close shave.
Kerr, an 82% free throw shooter, will get 2, and then the ball with 3 seconds to go. 89-87. Kerr with his 13th point. Nothing, I mean, it looked like a malicious foul, but that was just KJ trying to grab at something, and unfortunately, a tough tear down by the head. So a 1-point game, 3 seconds left for Chicago. Kukoc comes way over to the near side. They balance outside the line with their 3-point shooters.
Got to get it in the air.
Pippen is too long, and Phoenix manages an 89-88 win. Well, it's a shame that they only play once at each other's arena. Chicago and Phoenix, you have a feeling that these two franchises are going to be part of a rivalry for many years. Hannah?
Kevin, you did everything that you could to help this team to win, but in the end, you almost lost it because of that hard foul on Kerr. What were you thinking?
Well, I took a good foul. I just tried to grab him. He did a little acting, which made it look worse than it was. You got to give him a good job, but I don't think it was a flagrant foul. I just tried to grab him, and I got him in the face. They called a foul. We played good defense down the stretch. We did what was necessary to win.
I knew you had some concerns physically about your legs being tired coming into this game, but you looked like the old KJ. Did they have trouble matching up with you?
We needed a win. When you need a win that bad, you can't worry about ailments. My legs are tired. My ankle's a little sore, but our team needed a little shot in the arm. And I think by me coming out, some other guys really stepped up and played well.
How gratifying was it to get this victory against a team that not only beat you in the NBA Finals, but beat you here 3 times on your floor?
That's one reason why Kerr wasn't getting that shot up. I had a flashback of John Paxson, so I was going to make sure I was going to grab him. If they would have won another way, so be it.
Congratulations, KJ. We'll see you next weekend in Minnesota.
Thanks. Happy birthday to Patricia.
Kevin Johnson, who led the Suns with 22. Scottie Pippen topped the Bulls with 26, and he was looking for a couple more on the final shot of the game.
Well, Pippen gets the ball down here, and he thinks he gets fouled on this shot by Dan Marley. And after the ball goes away, you can see his reaction.
Marley right here had him by the wrist. And Phil Jackson just with that long stare and the wonder why he didn't get the call. Once again, the final score, Phoenix 89, Chicago 88. Next Sunday, NBA Stars Shine. NBC Sports presents the 44th annual NBA All-Star Game from Minneapolis. West led by Hakeem and Charles take on Shaq and Scottie Pippen, the rest of the Eastern Stars. Primetime extravaganza next Sunday. For Steve Snapper Jones and Hannah Storm, I'm Dick Enberg saying so long from the America West Arena in Phoenix, Arizona. This has been a presentation of the NBA on NBC.
NBC Sports.